Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you had a good lunch and that you are ready and rearing for this briefing that we have today. I just want to inform you that there will be some changes to the order where you see the value of Coursera to teachers. And I'm scheduled to speak. I will no longer be speaking. We now have Dr. Colin Cumberbatch, who is the principal of Erdiston Teachers Training College, so he will speak to that. Also to let you know that Dr. Cumberbatch is a participant in the pilot project with Coursera, so he will speak on that as well. So that is the major change to the program. Do we have any questions? No? Okay. So we can get started then. Ready, Minister?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll begin, I'll introduce. So.
Tell me when, go ahead.
The Honorable Kay McConney, Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Mrs. Betty Aline Headley, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Dr. Ida Mae Denny, Director of Education Reform, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Mrs. Viviana Del Carmen Alva Hart, Country Representative IDB. Mr. Matthew Klein, who is the Director of Coursera, he and his team. We have Dr. Alison Leacock, Director of the National Transformation Initiative and team. Dr. Cumberbatch, Principal, Erdiston Teachers Training College. Media, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
There's an African proverb which states, if you want to go quickly, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. And this proverb explains why we are here this afternoon. The Ministry of Education is in the process of exploring a partnership with the Inter-American Development Bank, the National Transformation Initiative, and Coursera, with the express aim of improving the quality of education through the provision of professional development courses for educators and educational leaders in Barbados. Today, the Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training will provide some insight into the partnership between and among IDB, NTI, Coursera, and the ministry, and how this partnership can help the ministry to achieve its vision of reimagining and leading education for the future. So without further ado, Minister.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. Barbados, good afternoon. You know, we are on a mission to do better by the teachers, by the principals, and by the education administrators in this country as it relates to their training and their professional development. And I believe that by meaningfully supporting the growth and professional development of our teachers, our principals, and our administrators in a targeted way, we will empower them in their role to facilitate learning and to help our students achieve in becoming active citizens in a global world. Now, this aligns very well with the 2022-2027 strategic plan of our Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. A critical part of Barbados's effort at this time is to improve the quality of education and outcomes for our children. That is priority one in our strategic plan for education. And this is with an effort to strengthen the overall standards and practices related to quality instruction from teachers, quality leadership of our schools, and quality administration of our educators, of our education administrators. And that is strategic priority number 2. Now, this government, we are investing. We are investing in the upskilling and reskilling of our population, and we have determined that teachers and leaders and principals in our schools should not be left out of that. We have become accustomed to many teachers who are very excited about their own education, invested in their own education, government investing in their education. And for much of that to be done at the beginning of their careers, many will continue to learn throughout their careers. We as a government believe that we have a responsibility to ensure that we make it easy for them to be able to access affordable, ongoing professional development training, not only at the beginning of their careers, but throughout their entire careers as educators in this country. And we want to do so in a way that we can do it at scale, meaning training as many and developing as many as we can, as soon as we can, in the critical areas that are important for us to give quality service to the young people we serve. Now, we know that in this country, it is the Urdeston Teachers Training College and University of the West Indies and others who collaborate to ensure that our teachers are properly trained. We recognize, however, that Urdeston Teachers Training College and its partners cannot do it alone. We recognize that we need to have partners that are partners within the education community. We need to have partners that are national. We need to have partners that are regional. And we need to have partners that are international to help us to be able to bring the level of training and professional development that we need in our education system. And it is with that understanding of the need for partnership and for mass collaboration at this stage in our development that we have collaborated, first of all, within Barbados with some of the other educational institutions that fall as part of the Ministry of Education, Technological and Development and Technological Training. Urdeston Teachers Training College, of course, is part of our education family. We also wanted to partner with the National Transformation Initiative, which is set up to really transform Barbados through training and development of our people. We thought that this is not something the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training should do alone, and so we thank Dr. Alison Leacock and her team from NTI for the tremendous work they have done in collaborating with us and working with Coursera to be able to bring what we now call the 21st Century Education Hub to Barbados's landscape for our teacher development and educational development in our system. Now, the collaboration with Barbados and Coursera through the NTI is one that is designed specifically to improve the quality of education through the provision of professional development courses for educators and education leaders. It is intended not only to address the skill gaps that we currently have, but also to bring innovative content with a local flavor to support our national ambition in new and interesting areas. During the Easter break of this year, not long ago, a few weeks ago, teachers from across schools in Barbados had the opportunity in a pilot phase to be exposed to a small sample of courses and projects offered on the Coursera platform. The five courses and 2 projects identified, they were carefully selected to address, as I said, current issues in the education system and also to provide exposure to our educators to activities that they could use to improve teaching and learning in the classrooms. The courses, which are all certificate courses, certified by well-respected international universities and learning institutions. They not only provide the participants with additional certification, but it has also been able to provide a body of knowledge which they will add to their expertise to be innovators within our own education system. Some of those courses, and I will not name all of them, Performance assessment in a virtual classroom. As you know, we made the transition to virtual classrooms, and we did not know how we would be able to properly assess in that environment. We are learning in that process, and we are doing better. And it is this kind of training that will ensure that we move to world-class standards in how we are able to do performance assessment in virtual classrooms. Another area was advanced instruction strategies in a virtual classroom. The way you teach face-to-face is not necessarily the same way you teach in a virtual environment. And that, therefore, was one of the areas in which we sought to build the capacity of our educators as we started to work in this new environment. Social and emotional learning for students, a path to social emotional well-being. That was another one of the areas. Now, many of us know that our students have been impacted significantly, and their capacity to cope and the teachers' capacity to be coaches to them and to help them be able to navigate through the social and emotional learning aspects of their education was significant. And we saw that in spades come out significantly over the last 2 years. And so this was another area that we targeted. As I mentioned, I will not highlight all of the areas, but I wanted to highlight at least those 3 as critical areas. Some of the projects that we also considered were creative interactive learning videos. In other words, another way in which we will be able to deliver instructions is through the use of various types of technology, videos and different media. And of course, videos using Edpuzzle, which happens to be the particular resource that was used in this regard, was one of the areas. Also building classroom community, using what was called Flipgrid, another one of those facilitating technologies to be able to improve how we deliver instruction. I mentioned that a number of the universities that participated are internationally recognized and very well respected universities. Again, I will not name all of them, and these are universities that are certifying these courses. So we understand that the program is robust. We understand that the curriculum is solid, and we understand that the certification will be respected wherever we go in the world. Among those universities, Stanford University, Columbia University, Yale University, McMaster University, Princeton University, the University of Toronto. There are a number of universities that I know we will recognize here. And we know, too, that our regional university, we expect at some point in time to be able to add to this line of courses as we work with globally respected universities. And I want to share with you that this government has determined that we will invest in these courses so that financial considerations would not be a deterrent for our educators to be able to access, and therefore government will be paying for these courses that are part of this education hub. These courses, in addition to being able to expose them and develop their skills and allow them to practice their skills in a very real way that will be monitored and assessed, we will also be able to allow them to develop new perspectives and insights on how Barbados will be able to move through our education reform. Now, I want also to thank the Inter-American Development Bank, the Barbados representative who is here today and you will hear from later in this press conference. And what was important for us is that those entities that might support us in this specific endeavor were invited to be at the table at this very early stage when we as a country are seeking to develop. And I therefore wish to thank the representative of the Inter-American Development Bank who has chosen to engage with us even at this very early stage as we are expanding the ideas. Today, As we met, we had about a 2.5 hour meeting earlier in this morning, and we were able to identify some very concrete next steps that will enable us to expand the education hub at a very fast rate, recognizing, and again, I compliment Coursera, when we set up that very first hub, it was 1 month, I am told, between concept and the development of the hub and the delivery to the teachers in Barbados. We expect now that as we get ready for the next school year, we will be able to expand that hub and to provide an even more robust and exciting suite of courses that will indeed redound to the benefit of our educators, of our leaders in education, and we hope to expand it also to our administrators in education. And with that said, I thank you all for your collaboration today, and I turn over to the next person.
Thank you very much, Minister. You heard the Minister speak about moving from concept to reality. And the conceptualization of expansion could not have been possible without the assistance of IDB. It is therefore at this time that I call on Mrs. Viviana del Carmen Alva Hart. She is the country representative for IDB. Ms. Hart.
Thank you very much, Minister Marconi and the team of the Ministry of Education, Mr. Klein and the team of Coursera, Dr. Lee Leacock and colleagues from the National Transformation Initiative, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm very pleased to speak on behalf of the Inter-American Development Bank at the launch of this partnership among of the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, the National Transformation Initiative, and Coursera for this 21st Century Educators Hub in Barbados, a program that in its first offering supports teachers and improving their digital and socioeconomical emotional skills. From our perspective at the IDB, the importance of this training opportunity cannot be overstated. Our Vision 2025 strategy emphasized that it is essential for countries to invest in the skills development of their citizens, and so they can respond to their ever-changing demands of these times, and as well as contribute to the economic recovery and development of the country and the entire region. The urgent response to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic propelled teachers towards online classrooms and distance learning tools across Latin America and the Caribbean. Practically overnight, 168 million children were not longer able to attend school and had not to depend on television, radio, printing materials, and online teaching to continue their education. And despite the investments in technology and internet connectivity in the past decades, we learned just how unprepared the education systems in Latin America and the Caribbean region still in this regard. So efforts that have been made to put more educational content online, but access to connectivity, digital devices, and technology for students and teachers is very uneven. So, for example, results from a survey by the Ministry of Education, Science, and Culture in Suriname in 2020 showed that 65% of teachers didn't have access to devices or connectivity and were not familiar with distance education or e-learning aspects. However, both Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago are in the fortunate position that every teacher has a device and should have internet connectivity. However, we have also learned that educators have insufficient capacity to effectively teach remotely using the available technology. Since the set of skills they have on to teach in person is very different from the skills required to teach remotely or online. In response to this need, the IDB has been collaborating closely with the Ministry of Education in Barbados since 2020 to design and implement a teacher education program to better equip teachers and teachers training to work with online and low technology media for teaching and learning. This program is just part of the long-standing partnership between the IDB and the Ministry of Education in Barbados, which goes back over 30 years, including projects such as the Education Sector Enhancement Program and the Skills for the Future project. So you might be interested to know that early this year, the IDB, through the BIT Academy, this is the name, embarked on its own alliance with Coursera, where we were currently offer open online courses in digital government and specialization in design and management of development projects. So, and we look forward to having more courses available as BIT Academy continues its outreach to new and larger audiences. So, given our experience as a long-standing development partner in the Barbados education sector, as well as a provider of professional development courses, we are thrilled that we could act as facilitator between these different agencies here today, and that this 21st Century Educators Hub with Coursera, NTI, and the Ministry of Education has been developed. So it is our hope that as it unfolds, it'll do with good synergies among the many initiatives taking place in education. So the training is being offered through the Educators Hub is highly relevant and timely, where teachers will have access to training programs offered from the best universities in the world. The past 2 years have been exceptionally demanding and taxing on teachers. We hope that this Educator Hub will help them better prepare to this new phase in education so that they can better navigate the continued uncertainties and demands for flexibility and continuous learning. So all teachers and principals are encouraged to take advantage of this exciting opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. And I can assure you that we will have good synergy if this morning is anything to go by. To help the ministry achieve excellence by shaping the star Bajan teacher is a team from the National Transformation Initiative. This team is ably headed by Dr. Alison Leacock. I now invite her to introduce the presenter from Coursera, who will explain Coursera and the curation of content for the 21st Century Education Hub. Dr. Leacock.
Thank you very much, Dr. Archer Bradshaw, Minister, members of the head table, colleagues all, members of the media. We are on our first year anniversary. May 1st was 1 year, and we are delighted to be going into our second year in partnership with Coursera that allowed us to get to scale. One pivotal partner was Nicole Amaral, who worked tirelessly with my assistant director, Marcel Greenidge, and Randy Clark, who we share with the Ministry of Labor, to ensure that we curated an exciting suite of courses, 6 training tracks, that allow everyone in Barbados to upskill and retool. We are really building a new ecosystem of upskilling in Barbados. And we're honored to have that responsibility, but more so, the power of the partnerships that we see here today represent the potential for 120,000 Barbadians utilizing those 20,000 licenses that the government purchased for the people of Barbados, and another 20,000 scholarships that Google gifted to Barbados to ensure that no stone was left unturned. So as partners, Matt, Chad, Patrick, and Nicole have been there shoring up the NTI small but very excited, committed, and productive team to ensure that every single Barbadian takes advantage of these courses. This partnership was brokered through Nicole's relationship with her colleagues at the IDB, and we had no problem in partnering with her and the ministry to ensure that this was a reality in time for Easter. But Nicole is well versed. She is the lead for Latin America and the Caribbean on skills transformation for Coursera, and I'd like her now to share with you all that has been achieved in the establishment of this 21st Century Educators Hub. Nicole.
Thank you, Dr. Leacock, and many thanks to Minister McConney and her team for hosting us here today. It's been a real honor to work with all of you to support Barbados educators. I wanted to first highlight the unprecedented alignment, excitement, and support we witnessed around the creation and initial piloting of the 21st Educators Hub. And as Minister McConney mentioned, it was about 1 month from conceptualization to pilot launch, but it showed the possibility of speed, scale, and reach that Coursera's platform can support when partners align. And we're excited about this ongoing collaboration between all the stakeholders present here today. And I wanted to provide a brief overview of the content in the 3 priority skill areas that were identified by the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, as well as Erdeston Teacher Training College, and informed by an initial survey of teachers in Barbados that was conducted by the Inter-American Development Bank. And Minister McConney has already given a brief overview of these, but I have them here on the screen. You can see some of the courses that are available at present on the hub. The first is the area of digital teaching and pedagogy, with that focus on instructional strategies for K-12 virtual education and assessment in virtual settings, as well as hands-on learning and digital tools for teachers, a need that's front of mind for every educator in Barbados in the context of the pandemic. Second was driving and supporting students' socio-emotional learning, with courses to support teachers with strategies in pre-K through 12 curricula, as well as ways in which school-based SEL programs differ with regard to scope, focus, audience, and mode of infusion. And third, courses designed to develop inclusive leadership skills among both teachers and school leaders, with a focus on developing inclusive educational culture that takes into consideration the diverse characteristics and needs of all different Barbadians, including disabilities, socioeconomic background, race, ethnicity, and cultural background, beliefs, religion, and gender, as well as courses that build educational leaders' communication skills and self-awareness. And finally, we'll be working with NTI, the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, and other stakeholders to continue to identify other key areas of professional and personal development. And we're really expanding this 21st Educators Hub to include not only teachers and principals, but find ways to support other key actors in the educational community, such as administrators and parents. And again, I want to thank Minister McConney and the team, and Dr. Leacock and the team at NTI for the opportunity to be here with you today.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much, Dr. Leacock and Ms. Amaral. After hearing these presentations, the question is, how will this information benefit teachers, aspiring teachers, and educational leaders? To answer your question is the principal of Erdeston Teachers Training College, Dr. Colin Cumberbatch. The college will be at the heart of integration of the courses in their existing and emerging programs, and will be responsible for the provision of continuous professional development type courses for educators and educational leaders. Dr. Cumberbatch will also use the opportunity to share with you his experience as a participant in the pilot program. Dr. Cumberbatch?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Minister McConney, Permanent Secretary, Director of Education Reform, Chief Education Officer, personnel from Coursera, personnel from NTA, media. It is indeed my pleasure to be here to just draw some attention to how important this partnership is and the benefits that can redound to our students by our teachers. Now, the Earlston Teachers Training College does not on its own have the capacity to fulfill every knowledge base and every pedagogical underpinning for every subject and every aspect of education. The collaboration with Coursera will therefore be twofold in nature. Firstly, the fundamental purpose will be to supplement the knowledge base and the pedagogical offerings of the college. And secondly, in collaboration, to help guide the college in the development of its own series of self-paced projects and courses designed specifically to have a local educational flair and context. Now, we understand that no single educational program or course of study can provide all that there is to know about any aspect of education. The courses offered by Coursera will therefore be used to complement and supplement the knowledge, expertise, and perspective of contemporary and relevant areas in education. Education, as we all know, is not static. It is very, very, very dynamic. And in this regard, the constant changes in knowledge, pedagogies, and ideas will necessitate that our educators be exposed to these new developments within the field of education in a timely manner. Now, with this partnership, the government is providing the avenue for our educators to get the opportunity to avail themselves of current and emerging trends in education. Mindful that, as according to John Dewey, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's students, we rob them of tomorrow. This collaboration is being facilitated to ensure that our students can look forward to tomorrow with hope and optimism, knowing that their teachers and their leaders, the leaders in their schools, are on the cutting edge of functioning. As it relates to undertaking of courses as part of the Coursera program, I chose to look at inclusive leadership, the power of workplace diversity. Now, I would have studied, as you are aware, up to doctoral level, and went into this course bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but still not anticipating some of the inherent challenges that I have even as a leader, because that course identified for me issues of privilege. Now, I would have never in my wildest dream think that I would be privileged, but when I examined with greater detail what they define as privilege, I realized that being male, having my stature, having my age, having my skin color, having my sex, all of those can be deemed privilege in any context within education of itself. So that broad notion of privilege that I would have never thought about, I now have registering all through my mind every day as I walk into my job. Additionally, there's the notion of the bias, and without even thinking about it, we have both explicit and implicit biases, and I was shocked to realize that, without thinking about it, I might be manifesting some of these and not be totally aware of it. So the course has definitely opened up my eyes to things that you need to consider, contemporary things that you need to consider, because years ago, there's certain things that you just would not have worried about in an educational environment. But as we move forward, now where everybody's becoming so much more aware and so conscious of all the different aspects of life and living, that we need really to make sure that we don't express our bias towards anyone or any group of people based on just our way of thinking. So that course has definitely opened up my eyes, and I've not yet completed it, but I definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cumberbatch. The course indeed sounds very interesting. Now that we've seen the course through the eyes of Dr. Cumberbatch, I'm going to ask you to use your own eyes again to receive a virtual snapshot of the hub. We will now have the NTI Live Log-On tour. So over to you, Dr. Leacock and team.
If the television would cooperate.
The television.
Yeah, technology for you.
Yes.
It might just be TV.
Is the TV asleep? Let's see if it's my TV. Murphy is a busy man. With my screen that went. Just checking that you're all paying attention.
Good afternoon, all. Minister McConney, Ministry of Education officials led by Dr. Ramona Bradshaw, Dr. Colin Cumberbatch, Mrs. Hart from the IDB, ladies and gentlemen, and Matt, of course, the head of the Coursera team visiting us. I am Marcel Greenidge, and I am here to just give you a brief run through. And this is especially important for teachers who themselves have not yet had the opportunity to log into the hub, and we would love to have you there. So once you are able to send your information to NTI Coursera at ettc.edu.ebb, again, NTI Coursera at ettc.edu.bb, that is at Erdison Teachers Training College, then once we have your information, you will receive an email invitation like the one you're seeing now to join the 21st Century Educators Hub. And you click for access, join now. One click takes you directly to the hub. Getting access to the NTI platform is easy. You use your work email address to sign up in a few steps. Add your first name, your last name, and your email address, and that is it. That is all you need to sign up. Once you are in the 21st Century Hub, you will be able to see a number of courses. You've already heard a few of them mentioned, but I'll remind you of them. For example, in digital teaching and pedagogy, there is performance assessment in the virtual classroom, or there is socio-emotional learning, or inclusive leadership, as well as guided projects that provide hands-on experience that you can do in 1 or 2 hours. So you have the opportunity as teachers, as educators, as administrators as well, to review the course or courses of your preference and pick the one that you like. So we wanted to pick, for example, performance assessment. Now, this one takes 11 hours approximately to complete. If you like this particular course, having viewed all of the other ones, you can save it for later. Because, for example, you may want to go back and look at some of the other courses that have been provided on the site, or you want to take a look a little closer at the kind of details and the modules that are available in the particular course. If you decide that this is the one that you want to do, then simply, one moment, remove, correct. You remove from saved, and then it allows you to enroll as of today's date in the course. And that is all it takes to start doing this course called Performance Assessment in the Virtual Classroom. So we are hopeful that teachers everywhere, administrators everywhere who are listening will send their details to NTI Coursera at ettc.edu.bb, and be sure to allow us to help you to get onto the platform. Thank you so much, and for those who have already completed it, we thank you and we look forward to the rest of you joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the tour, Ms. Greenidge. At this time, we will have the closing remarks by or Honorable Minister.
Thank you. We'll let you ask your questions after I'm being told by the chair of proceedings today. I certainly would wish to say that if you take away nothing else, understand that the 21st Century Educators Hub for Barbados is going to allow us to move at pace and at scale to be able to train many more of our educators and to give them the competencies that they need to survive in this 21st century environment. Understand that it's not just educators who are educating, but it's educators who are learning at the same time. We really want to promote that kind of culture of continuous learning. That's not just at the beginning of their careers, but it is throughout their careers. It's career-long learning and lifelong learning, certainly for those in education. We want you to know that the kind of hub that we're setting up will not just enable our educators to be consumers of content, but we discussed this morning as to how we will be able to use part of the facilities of Coursera to allow them to also be creators of content that is specific to the Barbadian environment. Finally, the intention of all of this is to create empowered educators who can excel in a 21st century learning and instructional environment. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Minister. We will now open the floor for questions from the media if you have questions. I'm sure that the Minister can answer all of them for you.
I'm sure so, too.
All right, I don't think we have any questions.
That's fine.
Okay, well, it means that we were extremely clear. The job is done. All right, well, on behalf of the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, I wish to thank all of you for participating in this briefing today. And remember, I started by saying, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I'm sure that the Minister will support the fact that we look forward to journeying with you as we seek to reimagine, transform, and lead education for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
There was a question from Garcia.
No, I wanted to ask Dr. Leacock to give me some clarification on this 120,000 licenses and 20,000 scholarships.
Sure.
That you mentioned.
Can we do that?
20,000. 20,000.
Yeah.
The
20,000
licenses
licenses.
are one license a year, and the license can serve potentially 4 students who might do a course for 3 months. And that's how I got up to the 120,000.
Okay.
Because if all were utilized in that way, because all of the courses that we offer are short, then it gives access to more than 1 student per license. So although it is 20,000 licenses, it really could reach 120,000 Barbadians.
Okay, and the 20,000 scholarships.
And the 20,000 scholarships are in addition to that. Those are a gift from Coursera, and they are ostensibly designed for those who have absolutely no technical skills beforehand. They can simply log on their short courses, usually about 6 months, and there are 6 courses to upskill people in digitization. So they're able to take part in those courses, and really and truly anybody who has decided that they want to make sure, maybe it's user experience design, it's data analytics, these are all available, project management as well. So they're there on our NTI Coursera site.
Okay.
So those are 20,000 in addition to the licenses. So the licenses and their scholarships.
Minister, I believe I allowed you to close question time too quickly, because, not Minister Chief, because I wanted to ask the Minister, you said something about government will pay for something.
All of it.
I just want to be sure that.
As you know, government has purchased the licenses. We invested in the licenses to which Dr. Leacock just spoke. And we will continue to invest at this stage, in the licenses that will be a part of our educators, the 21st Century Educators Hub. So we really want to give that start, that jump start, to our teachers, just as we've done for the rest of Barbados.
Thank you.
And Gerson, the agreement with Corsair is for 3 years.
Okay.
And this coming Thursday will be something special. That's why they're here. So you'll be hearing more. More to come. More to come. This is the first bite of a